Hey guys, Chris Tillman Family Farms in the garage today. Got a little project that has been way down the list, and I'm kind of getting to the point to where I'm going to need this back in rotation really soon. So everybody's got one of these bad boys. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people. So this is a solar charger from Premier One, and it's been really good for us, and it still works. It still has a charge. The battery's charging on it, but it's not charging as well as it should, and it's because of this solar panel. It's in pretty rough shape. Let me give you guys a little bit better look at this. So from what we understand, this is a pretty common problem with Premier One chargers and the way that these solar panels do. So we are about to try to restore this and try to knock off all this oxidation. There's a couple of things I want to do. I want to clean the whole thing up, check the leads, check everything on it, but this panel is one of the biggest issues here, and we're going to try to remedy that right now. So I contacted Premier One and I asked this question. I asked, can this panel be restored? Is there anything that I can do to get something back to it? Their immediate response was, yes, there's a plastic cover over this panel that protects the glass on the actual solar panel itself. They said that, oh, it should be charging fine through all of this white cloudy haziness. I don't believe that. So what I plan to do is, this is just oxidation. I mean, it's just scratches right off. So first thing I did was I took my leads off of it so I can move this thing around a little bit better. But what I plan to do is to take a couple of different fine grit sandpapers, and I am going to clean this panel up in a specific fashion. And then I have got some indoor-outdoor clear coat that we're gonna spray over this thing to try to get this thing cleared back up so that this solar panel can do its job and do it efficiently. So I got a couple different things here, and I was kind of skeptical. I had some steel wool from another project that I did a while back, and I didn't know if it was going to work with what I'm trying to do, but you can see right here, I just hit it just like 3 strokes with this steel wool, and it got it pretty good. But the other things, so I'm going to go steel wool, then I'm going to go 800 grit sandpaper, and then I'm going to go to 2000 grit sandpaper. Okay, so this is going to be in stages and steps. I know that we got some squared off corners here pretty good, but I don't want to gouge this, and I don't want to put streaks in it, so to speak. So we're going to try to go at this at a circular motion. Okay, so we're going to try to cover this whole thing first with a steel wool and just see how it does. All right, so first pass with a steel wool, man. This stuff's hitting it up pretty good. So look, you can see all this is dust, so just watch. Pretty old sharp on the first pass. I'm gonna try to work in and get these corners. I may have to run it lengthwise around the edges just to try to get in there a little bit better and get all the way to the edge of the panel. Oh yeah, there you go. Get in there and get these corners going. Man, that's a drastic improvement already. So we're gonna break out the 800 grit now, and we're gonna go at it some more. I think this is gonna work out just great. So before I start the 800 grit, I want you guys to take a look at what the steel wool did for it. I'm impressed. You can start to see the actual grid that the solar panel is in right there. So far so good. We're just going to take it in stages. I'm going to show you guys between every stage. So on to the 800 grit. So anytime that I use sandpaper, I like to fold it so that it gives me something to hold on to and my hand's not slipping off. A lot of people like to wrap it around a block or something like that. With this, I'm just gonna take it and I'm gonna fold it up a little bit like that. I'm gonna go around my edges real quick because I can still see this nice thick line of oxidation all the way around. I'm going to fold it a little bit to where I get my thumb in there to it, and I'm just going to put it right there, and I'm going to work it up and down. See if I can't clean up the edges a little bit more than what they are. My fat fingers ain't working out in there very well. Oh yeah, just doing a little bit. Not getting in there great, but once I get all the way around, we're gonna go back to that circular motion, okay? Still with the 800 grit, I'm just getting a new piece. You can see all the scratches and scars on this thing from being out in the field that are just not going to clean up. But what's going to happen is when we spray that clear coat on here, man, that clear coat is going to fill up a lot of these spaces, and we're going to see such a tremendous difference in this. We'll probably put a couple of coats on it because I think that's going to be our best result. Put a couple coats on it. So before I get started on the next phase, I'm going to go get some regular household cleaner, maybe like some Windex or something like that, and I'm going to spray it on here and give this thing a good cleaning and let it dry. And then I'm going to show you the result from that before we go to the next sandpaper, which is 2000 grit. Okay, so that's a lot finer. We're gonna be more or less getting to a point where we're polishing at that point, getting some of the thicker scratches out of there and stuff like that. And that way, when we actually spray it, there won't be that much of anything for the paint to actually fill up, and it'll get nice and smooth across there. All right, so this is just regular old soapy water. I'm gonna spray this bad boy down. Man, it just putting the slick water on it just makes it look amazing. Makes it look brand new. Brand new. So we're gonna get it all cleaned up. We're gonna let it dry, and then we're gonna hit it with this 2000 grit. And then we'll probably clean it the same way that I just did just now. And we'll see how long it takes it to dry before we can actually put a clear coat. So I'm gonna try to, I've got some masking tape. Maybe one of the steps I overlooked, but anyhow, I would really like to tape this off because this doesn't, I mean, it doesn't really require any paint or any clear coating, but we'll see what we get here in just a little bit and kind of go from there. So we're not completely dry, but just about. It's gonna be a lot, kind of like wet sanding at this point, but this is 2000 grit. So it's going to be a lot smoother. I'm actually going to cock this panel up a little bit different, tighten it up on the sides so that I can kind of hold it in place. But I'm going to try my best to keep it in a swirling motion inside of a square area. So now that I'm to this point, my wife let the dogs out. Anyhow, so now that I'm to this point, I can start to see the swirls in the surface of it, and I'm realizing that it's from the pressure where my fingers are on the sandpaper. So I am going to wrap this on something, and I'm going to go over it one last time. What this does just kind of gives it a flatter surface, and the only thing that's going to really affect it is that if there's high points on the actual surface itself. So, which, you know, I'm not looking at, like, I'm not prepping a hot rod for paint or anything like that, but I am wanting to get the best result possible. I can start to see areas that have not been able to be hit very well with circular motion, which we're doing it as best we can with circular motion just to kind of keep the streaks out of it. But I'm not 100% sure that the streaks are not going to just fill in with the paint. So I'm gonna hit this a little bit more on the edges where I can't get that square thing. I'm gonna clean it up and see what it's gonna look like getting ready for paint or clear coat. All right, we're gonna spray it down, clean it up one more time. We're gonna let it dry up really good. And I'm gonna hunt down some masking tape. I gotta have some somewhere, some kind of tape. Man, it's gonna look good. This is gonna clear this panel up, and this panel is gonna charge this battery a whole lot better, and this thing is gonna do us a lot better job when it gets in service. So I couldn't find any masking tape, and I'm not completely dry yet, but I am an electrician by trade, and if there's one thing that I've always got somewhere, it's electrical tape. This happens to be phasing tape, so it's colored, but I'm going to use it because it's going to do what I want it to do. All we're really looking to do is just to get the edges here taped up so that they don't get paint on them. Old electrical tape. Don't turn your back on it, you might need it. All right, so our surface is clean and sanded. So we're using a Krylon Color Max Clear. So I see a lot of people doing crazy stuff with spray paint. So you don't do this number or whatever. You want to try to do it in clean, long strokes that overlap one another. We'll probably do it back and forth this way and then long ways too, so trying to get it covered up. You don't want to do a heavy coat to begin with. You want to do a light coat and then kind of let it tack up, and then you want to spray it again. Man, that bad boy came back to life just then, buddy. Ooh, that thing looks good. So at this point, we're going to let it kind of tack up a little bit before we spray it again. But in the meantime, I want to get you guys a really good close-up to see what this thing looks like now. You can't tell me that that don't look brand new. I mean, you can see the reflection in this thing. I really, really think that this restoration of this solar panel is going to be a big-time help to this deal. Man, it looks good. So the biggest reason that you don't want to do too much at one time is because it'll run. So it's always just kind of light coats. Make sure you're covering the whole surface. I think maybe one more coat here in about 10 or 15 minutes. And I think we're gonna be set. This bad boy is looking good. I like it when small projects like this turn out really well. So that's with the last coat on it. Look at that thing. Good and clear. Got a couple of little spots in it, but like I said, we're not painting a hot rod. Man, so we're gonna let it dry up a little bit, and then we're gonna take the masking tape off of it. Tell you a couple things about tape when you're taking it off. All right, so this, I'm gonna tell you how easy it is to get your stuff messed up here. So if you can tell, I kind of got my panel propped up where it's kind of level. My last coat, I applied it just a little too soon, and I started to get a run down here on this end of it, which would have been really, really ugly on this cool little project I had going on. So I had to save it. And that last shot that I showed you with it laying flat, the clear coat had settled on it a little bit. So it's kind of flattened back out and it's going to stay looking good. I'm going to let it dry like this. I do want to tell you though, in any paint project where you use masking tape like this, you don't want to let your paint or your clear coat or whatever it is dry completely before you remove your tape. You still want it to be a little tacky or maybe even green, so to speak, not cured. Because what's going to happen is if it dries to this tape, when you remove it, you may end up messing up the paint where you want it to stay. This is with walls, trim, anything like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and start removing my tape here. And once you get it all off, you know, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about, because it just kind of cuts it right off. You can't help, what do I got going on here? You can't help but get a little bit of overspray on everything that you do. But man, it's electrical tape. Hold on. There we go. But you just pull it straight, and you use the last pieces that you put on as a starting place. Unlike me, I'm not sure what the heck I'm doing right here. I thought I was starting where I had finished. Oh, there we go. So that's one thing. This electrical tape sticks to itself better than masking tape sticks to itself. So but there you go. Tape is off. Starting to look like a brand new panel. I gotta clean up the rest of the box and all that stuff. But other than that, she is looking super duper good. There it is, guys. I feel like this is a pretty successful project. We're gonna let this thing dry up really good. I'm gonna get it out in the sun, get this thing charging again before we put it back out in the field and get it in use. I do have a use for it. I got a set of piglets that I'm looking to move over into the woods over here, and I needed to free up a charger, and I'm hoping that this one is gonna fit the bill. So, man, like I say, this thing is just, it just looks great. I'm really impressed with it, if you can't tell. So as soon as I get this thing in use, we'll probably do some update videos on it and all that stuff, just to make sure that it is charging and that the panel's doing what it's supposed to do, and that this, we'll keep up with it over time to show you guys how it holds up this way. So until then, I guess that's it. I appreciate you guys watching. If you don't mind, please go down and like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.